What's up with that pen?
Which one? That one or that one? That one or that one or that one? All of these, but hey.
Hey.
What you got for us today?
Well, we got a mix of old and new.
That we do.
Yeah, we've got and we've got some duck pins and a duck pin and a 5-pin.
Where did you get the 5-pin?
The 5-pin came from Ron Reese, who is in Canada, who follows us on the Garage Bowling channel. He was kind enough to send this. I have a PBS duck pin, not a duck pin, 5-pin, I'm sorry, up there that is brand new. This one is also a PBS, but unlike mine, has a different logo on the back. I guess it's the 5-pin Bowling Congress type organization or whatever it is.
See, permit number 25.
Yeah.
Now, so those permits in line with the U.S. permits like you have on your list, or is that their own separate?
Let me see, because this is permit 25 Canadian Bowling Congress 5-pin.
So if I look at the list of permit
it's
25,
there. It's not this, because the PBS pin is permit number 97. That one also says, and you can see the blue star is the PBS. There's two versions up there. There's a blue labeled one, which is the newer version, and behind that is a multicolored black and red, maybe blue and red label. Okay. So the label on the older one looks like this.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway,
and that came from Ron Reese in Canada.
Yes, it did. So I have it. Since I have a PBS right there, I have this one facing forward with this label because it's different and it's cool. So
right, it is. So with the Nile Tough stripes on it.
Yeah, Nile Tough stripes. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it very much.
Yes, thank you, Ron.
Yes.
You sent me one too. So.
Yes, and so while we're in the oddball pins, I a while back got a Brunswick DuraKing plastic coated duck pin. It's in. I'd say it's pretty. Nothing. Nothing on the back. It's got a little nylon ring in it.
Nice little base.
Right. And I don't know that it's, if it was used very little. Right. It does have some scuffs on it, but that could be from getting stored and like a whatever.
Eraser would make that thing look a lot better.
Yeah, I guess I need to try to hit it up with that. But anyway, yeah, this one's pretty cool. I've got a, Brunswick King plastic coated duck pin down there on the end. Which is the predecessor to this guy here.
And the Queen, I think we've covered.
Yeah, I think we have
videos before. But
yeah,
it never hurts to look at them again.
And then there's a Ripley Duramark duck pin, a Strike Master, an old Brunswick League duck pin, and an AMF duck pin as well. But I got this because I needed, keep it symmetrical. And Ron, thank you for the 5-pin that kept everything symmetrical. So I know it's not up there right now, but there's a gap, but it keeps everything, so my OCD doesn't go, oh. But anyway.
Gotta keep things, perspectively.
Yes. So, all right. So while we'll stay with the Brunswick department, another acquisition was a brand new Brunswick Monarch. Mine had a good label, but it was well used. This one does not have a fiber ring or a nylon ring in it. You could get them where they're like this, or they had a fiber ring or the nylon ring, kind of like the Mixer and stuff had. This one it just says ABC approved in the label, blah, blah, blah. But the interesting thing about the Monarch is, this is where you can see they were starting to piece the pins together. Mine has a little bit kind of, it's coming apart, but it's still solid. And we're not going to be throwing this in a machine, so. No. But it's in good shape.
Who would throw a Rip or a Monarch into a pin setter?
I don't know. Lakewood Lanes in Dallas, I found an old video. Lakewood Lanes had AMF 8230s, and guess what they were running in them?
Monarchs.
These bad boys.
We need to find that video.
I have to find it again.
And load it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, anywho, so that's the Monarch.
And if you notice, back in the day when they spray painted the crowns,
see,
if there's a video we posted, I think a link to, and you can see where they hand or the little sprayer paints each crown point individually, and they rotate the pin 6 times.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this one's got a pretty pronounced.
Yeah, or may have been Myrtle's first day on the job there, and
for real.
she was a little bit off on her
Yeah,
crown
she
making.
just hadn't had her morning coffee yet.
Probably
So
not.
anyway, I don't think this pin's been used. If it was used very little. I think
it's been used.
I think it's just had hard storage. You know, it's kind of been in someone's garage and got knocked over and banged around.
Sure,
but it looked a hell of a lot better than the one I had. So
this ended up in the Mike Freeman pin collection.
Yes.
So we can do a "Hey Mike, what's up with that pin" video with it.
Right. Exactly.
How many years later? What year would that pin have been made in? The 50s?
Yeah, probably the late 40s. Well, late 40s until they started making the Duraking.
So we're talking about a 75-year-old pin there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Which, having a label that complete on a pin that old, that's
it's pretty
impressive.
Pretty impressive.
As it doesn't look as much like the other labels that chip off so easily.
Right.
Like maybe it's a different process or something.
Right. There were different label versions for the Monarch. There's another one where the Monarch had a single stripe, and it had a funny bubbly looking label.
Like the Regal Queens and the Kings, you know, the labels flake up a bunch on those, and that looks like it's well stamped or
it's stayed together well. And the label's very reminiscent of the Regal. Yes. So the Regal and Monarch labels, you can see they're very similar. The crown at the top of the Regal label is different.
You can see the Regal label where the decal runs around the outside, but not as prominent on the Monarch.
Right. And if you notice the Regal, it's older than this one because it says ABC regulation.
It's got a different base on it.
Yeah, the Regal has the fiber base.
Yeah, the little ring inside.
And so anyway, but you can see they had the same shape, but you know they're different where Brunswick's put, and the crowns are a little different at the top of the labels.
Definitely was not Myrtle's first day on the job doing that Regal.
No, I think
good.
Myrtle's mother probably worked there, and you know she'd been a little more.
Not even
there's not a lot of overspray on it too. There's just, I need to see if I can get that off there. But anyway, so yeah, that's the Regal.
Okay.
Which we've already talked about before. Now,
here's a cool pin.
So, the Strike Easy. It is a lacquer coated pin. Made by the Monumental Bowling and Billiard Corporation out of Baltimore, Maryland, with I think it's got a fiber ring in it. Yeah.
I got one of those too.
Yeah, Robert bought one too. Yay. He bought this one's sister. Tournament, ABC regulation. The label's in pretty dang good shape.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's got a lot of detail, the pins and the ball hitting the pins, it's a cool.
Pins back then, they went into so much more detail.
Well, you know, it's funny. Yeah, they pins. You know, another thing I kind of collect is Christmas lights, old Christmas lights and ornaments, and the boxes were even real cool. I mean, that's part of it. The boxes that they come in. Yeah, it would be cool to have a box of Regal box in a Monarch box, but you know, it doesn't happen.
Idea when that pin was made?
Well, pins that say ABC regulation were older versus when they say ABC approved.
So that Strike Easy pin, you think could be?
These two are probably close in age because they both say ABC regulation. So they're probably, I don't know when they changed over from regulation to approved.
I mean, we're talking 40s, 50s, maybe?
Probably in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's an amazing shape. So you got to wonder through all these years, where were those pins sitting?
Where were they sitting?
I know
exactly.
The seller had them, and I think I remember seeing the original listing when they bought a case of them. Mm-hmm. And he sold them off and made a killer profit, which I don't blame him.
No,
but he had a case of them. Some of them were in less shape than others, but
the labels weren't in decent shape.
It's amazing how well they've held up. So I mean, somebody had them sitting somewhere for years, and they just never got touched. And you got to wonder, how did they?
Well, and you got to keep them somewhere where the humidity doesn't get crazy, or the heat and the cold, and screw them up because
like my garage in your house. Was air conditioned, heated.
Yep. So that helps them stay together.
All right.
Okay.
What's the next one we got?
We're gonna go over here to the Bean Brothers Jet.
Ooh, now that's a neat looking pin right there.
Yeah. I'm sorry that the label has the chip, but hey, it's better than nothing.
Have you seen one of those before?
I have not. Well, maybe I did and I didn't know what it was. They put another label on one of their pins. I think one of their pins, it was a utility pin, had a label kind of similar to this.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I go from this to the Spartans, which were also Bean Brothers. They were around Detroit, Michigan, and not to be
East
confused
Detroit.
with the Bean Brothers from New York.
And the Bean Brothers is still there, but they make trophies or something.
Yes, yes. So yeah, this one's
Everybody gets a trophy.
yeah, this one's got the bowling ball. It looks like a smiley
It
face,
does look like a little smiley
but it
face
is a
there.
bowling ball whacking the two
With
pins.
the reflection makes it look like he's smiling.
Like, hey. And again, this one says ABC approved, and and the base says ABC approved in the base. I don't know if you can see that.
It's there. Yeah, there it is.
And then here it says tournament, and then Kimber patent pending. So yeah, there was a lot of business going on in this base too. So anyway, so that's one that I think this was a Facebook Marketplace, and
I remember the
shipper guy went and got it. Yeah,
he was up in that area and picked it up for you. So
yeah. So that was a cool find.
That really was.
So going back to the Brunswick department, the Max Stripes, the USBCs changed the logo where it says approved and it says bowl.com on that side, and then on the back side, all the current approved pins have this. I got this from my last trip to California. Gardena. Yeah, the Menta brothers were kind enough to get me one of these,
and who recognized you from
yes,
the bowling,
yes, they did, with their 1500 to 1800 serial jetbacks, which were Model A's, and still have a lot of green.
I want to go out there and see those.
Yeah, you need to. But he was joking. So, well, maybe we could get Robert to come out here and work when Dale goes on vacation. I said, he'll do it. Don't tempt him.
I would.
So there's this one, and of course, there's its counterpart Crown version. Same, that label.
Right. Any difference between the two?
No, not really. Just there's the Glow
Max version,
and then there's the Mangle pin that he gave me.
Thank you, Mangle.
Yes, and I noticed. So this one, if you notice, this one is an HN, a 9HN, and this one is 24EO. Well, the O is the year 22. E, A, B, C, D, E. Is that the fifth letter? Is that right?
Yes.
So these are May. This one, N, is 21. And H, A, B, D, C, E, F, G, H, that's the month.
So about July or August.
Right.
Or something.
So, yeah. So that's the deal. Now, I don't know what the 2 and the 4 mean. I don't know what the 9 means. That I haven't figured out. But I know that the N is 21, the O is 22. So, so there you go. And this one's a N also. So this one's I. So this was made, this guy here came a month after its Glow cousin.
Same pen, just different ink.
Yes, I like the stripes. I've always liked the Max Stripes because I like the way the stripes sit high up in the neck.
I'm a Crown person.
Well,
that's okay.
Yeah, and I like the color they're using. The Crowns, I mean, some people are like, oh, they look so bad. Well, they don't look bad from the front.
Right.
They used to be more maroon. I don't have another Max Stripe in here, but they were more maroon. Now they've gotten more back to a red.
I like the red.
Still not the red of, however, even though they're made in the AMF factory, the AMF stripes are different. They're skinnier.
Very similar red to the
and
the old days here.
Pretty close.
Yep.
And but yeah, see if you compare the stripes, the AMF stripes are thinner and further apart,
right?
And the Max stripes are higher in the neck and closer together. So you could mix them together, but being a pin snob would go. Really. I mean, let's see. Last but not least, I thought we talked about this one, but maybe we didn't.
Remember it,
so this is the Do Magic or Do Magic, however the heck you want to say it. It is made by Vulcan. It was made by Vulcan because, of course, Vulcan is no more.
When was this made?
Well, it was permit 358. So.
That was an American pen.
Right. It's made. See, it says Made in USA. It's got the bow tie logo. Permit wise, because the Voltex 2 is 328.
Mike had to look. He didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know off the top of my head. I couldn't remember what it was. That's a Voltex. That's a 19.
All right.
So anyway, Vulcan also made pins for Don Carter. We had our own label. Don Carter had its own logo, and they actually made a pin. And I'm thinking that pin and this pin were around the same time frame. So that was in the 90s.
Oh, wow. So is that
early 90s.
So about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Have you seen many of those, or is that the only one you've seen?
This is the only one I've seen. I think these were more for the Japanese market. Jeremy Blaschko has one. Has a couple different variations. I think he's got one that his has stars in the stripes or something.
Okay.
His is different. He's got this one too, but he's got another version.
Okay.
Mine came from a pin refinisher. So
It looks like it needs a little magic eraser work.
well, actually, it all this is under the. I don't know what.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of it's under the coating. It's kind of weird.
Or maybe it is rolled around on something rough.
Yeah, it looks like it was. I don't think it was ever used in a machine that I can tell. But yeah, it doesn't look like it was. But that's the do magic. Vulcan made a lot of pins for a lot of people.
Right.
They made pins for Columbia Bowling Ball Company. There was a Columbia bowling pin, had a big C like was on the wine U dot. They made the King Star, which was a Japanese pin, Japanese market pin. We went over that one. Is that me?
No, that's me.
Oh, okay.
I should have shut
So-
my phone off, but I didn't.
That's all right. Well, Vulcan, and Vulcan made the Maxes for a while. When Brunswick went from the Flyer to the Max, Vulcan was making them for Brunswick, and while making the Voltex too. So Brunswick pins have been made by someone else since the Flyer. Once the Flyer was discontinued, the Brunswick pins were being made by Vulcan, then AMF, and at one point they even made Brunswick pins in Taiwan with the Winsome Company, the Killer Bee Permit 370, which Don Carter West had some of. They sent us some warranty pins, and I opened them up, and I was like, when they showed up, I thought, white boxes, what are these? And I opened them up, and sure enough, they were different. So,
Very cool.
yeah, but anyway.
Well, I guess, is that it?
Yeah, that's
All
it.
right, well, at least you've gotten some new stuff.
Yeah,
for while,
a little bit.
Hopefully you enjoyed the latest installment, 34th or 35th, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 36, I don't remember.
Something like that.
We'll be doing more, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you very much for having us and to do it. Hey, Mike.
What's up with that pin?
We'll see you in the garage soon.